Now! This is it! Now is the time to choose. Die and be free of pain, or live and fight your sorrow. Now is the time to shape your stories. Your fate is in your hands.
The Every FNFF podcast coming to you ungagged this time. We've edited out all the gags. No jokes on this episode.
Yeah, 100% less jokes.
Dead serious. I'm Curtis Ware. And who else do we have with us this week?
Oh, you have us. Yeah.
You can introduce. Let's just do the whole roll call like we usually do. Welcome to the Every FFF podcast. We have Curtis.
I'm Curtis.
I'm Carl.
I'm Alex. And with us, we have returning guest.
I'm Erin.
And I'm Mike.
And Mike from season 2.
Hell yeah.
From season 2. Wait, Mike was in season 1.
No, I was season 1.
Oh, were you?
OG.
Yeah.
OG.
Yeah.
You weren't here for FF1. Okay. That season was so small, it kind of blurs together with FF7, so.
Alex is just going to edit it together so that it sounds like he was the one who was right and we were all wrong, including Mike.
I remember Mike was on during the glacier climb.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Now we're at the other side of the mountain and everything's just fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Significantly less snowboarding, though.
We went up into the meteor and that's where Xanakin is.
Yeah, well, thanks again for coming back, Erin. I know because it's a long season, I was like, we just got to start calling back people because.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I thank you so much for calling me. I apologize if I am low energy. I've been playing Dark Souls every moment of my life for the last couple weeks.
Yes.
What's that? Never heard of it.
What's Dark Souls? What's life?
I feel like, if anything, you need to apologize for this particular group of people. Playing Dark Souls is probably not the thing.
I'm like an avowed Dark Souls hater. This is actually my first one. I'm playing 3
Really?
at the moment. Yeah.
How are you enjoying it so far?
I love it. I also
Hell
think it
yeah.
sucks.
That's what I love to
No,
hear.
I love it. I'm having a great time.
Well, Carl's coaching Brian Lee O'Malley now to play, so if you need any hot tips.
Nice. Yeah, no, at the moment, this was perfectly timed because we started the call right after I had almost thrown my controller fighting the Pontiff. So,
Oh, right on, yeah.
yeah, I was like, okay, I clearly need to take a mental health break here. So I guess you guys are my mental health break. Thank you.
But yeah, Mike, how have you been since last year? I don't know when it was last time.
Yeah, it was
The before
it was
times.
pre-COVID. It was like, I think, October of 2019,
Yeah.
which is
Wow.
just wild to think about because it's like 2020 was so long and so short at the same time. So like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing all right. It's nice here. It's sunny in the desert and no complaints.
Yeah, you have any more cats?
I think since last time, yeah, we've found a bunch more, and then we found some that like Matryoshka dolls. They had cats inside of them.
Oh, yeah.
Trojan cats.
The Garan Galan of cats.
It's
That's right.
that situation. Skitters left the room right before we started. I was hoping to get her on the pod again.
Yeah.
No,
Return
maybe
of
later.
Skitters.
Yeah. What do you think about Blitzball Skitters? You hate it too, right?
Don't we all?
But since you haven't been on, what was your experience with the FF10, buddy?
Okay, so I have kind of a weird one. The first time I ever played FF10 was a demo kiosk. There was this event in San Francisco where they had it was like a preview event for Final Fantasy X and for Final Fantasy Chronicles, the like PlayStation re-release of 4 and Chrono Trigger on like one disc.
Ooh.
So there was like a cosplay event. Like my sister was dressed up as like Luca from Chrono Trigger. Like it was rad. But they had all these like demo kiosks, and that was the first time I'd ever played it. And then while we were there, we won this like raffle to see Spirits Within that night with
Ooh.
Sakaguchi.
Oh, wow.
So it was like the Metreon San Francisco. It's like an IMAX theater, and
Oh, the Metreon is so cool.
yeah, it was like at what was the Sony store, like the PlayStation store. I don't think it's there anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like got to play Final Fantasy X for the first time and see Spirits Within in a theater like before it released. It was a very, very surreal experience. The movie was not received very well.
Sakaguchi stood up and threw his hat on the ground and stomped on it and walked out.
Sakaguchi left rather quietly.
Show us the Sakaguchi cut.
That was his producers. He was like, I'm fucking done with this series.
That's not how they ended the movie. But yeah, no, it was probably like a couple of years, I think, before I like actually played through 10 because I didn't have a PS2. So like I ended up borrowing a PS2 from a friend and going through it. And then I kind of every couple of years I go back through it. I had just finished a replay of it in 2019. I finished it on Father's Day. Some nice little thematic moments there towards the end of the game. And so originally I was like, you know what, I'm probably when they get to 10, I'm probably not going to replay it for the pod. I'll just watch it. And then I remember it was the day that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. I looked at my Twitter feed and was like, I need to log the fuck off for the day because the takes are going to be like weapons grade bad. And so then I just ground and caught up to the pod. And we kind of just sticking with it ever since.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Well, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Well, thanks to Ruth Bader Ginsburg for dying so that you could play through it again.
one of the many services she provided.
She brings the next calm.
Brought the calm to my fucking Twitter feed, let me tell you.
Mike is our final Aeon.
Which we're going to find out what that means today.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Finally, nice little lore dump.
Oh, you know what we did last time on the podcast? We did my favorite thing, which is getting in an elevator.
Hell yeah.
Love to be in an elevator.
It's not a diagonal elevator, so it's probably not that important.
I was talking about diagonal elevators last night with somebody, and I was like, dude, you always know shit is about to go down in a video game when you get on a diagonal elevator.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a few episodes back, actually. But yeah, we have arrived at I forgot what you call it.
The Chamber of the Fayth.
The Chamber of the Fayth.
With the creepy version of the Hymn of the Fayth that's like discordant.
Yeah. It's real cool.
I forgot to say that, yeah, before Yuna went down to the chamber and before she came back up, there is a version of Hymn of the Fayth, which I think is called Yunalesca's Hymn of the Fayth, but I think canonically it should be Zeon's, right?
Right. I think that's who's singing.
We were about to get Lord Zeon or something.
He would be, yeah.
But then Yuna says, this bitch empty.
Right. So we actually walk into the Chamber of the Fayth and see it, and it's the same as the time we saw in Bavel, right? Where it has like the translucent blue like dome on the floor, which the Fayth would be inside, except this time there no Fayth. Ain't no Fayth in that dome.
Yeah, Yunalesca's there, and Waka sees the empty Fayth chamber and stuff. He says, "Damn, bitch, you live like this."
But yeah, Yuna says,
"This isn't a faith. It's just an empty statue."
And that creepy old translucent man from the intro.
He doesn't even wait a beat. He just like was.
No,
he was waiting for to finish talking, and he's like, "What? Here I am."
Yeah.
He immediately starts talking. It says,
"That statue lost its power as a faith long ago. It is Lord Zeon, the first faith of the final summoning."
"What you see before you is all that remains of him. Lord Zeon his soul is gone." So,
yeah,
Zeon
and then like
is gone.
And the party discusses like Riku's like, "Oh, there's no final Aeon," and this ghost priest says, "But fear not, Lady Yunalesca will show you the path. The final Aeon will be yours. The summoner and final Aeon will join powers. Go to her now. Inside, the lady awaits." And like another door kind of like
materializes,
yeah, into existence, and we're able to go through it. And I like that like Titus says, "Orin, you knew this would happen, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Orin, you son of a bitch." And he's just like
"Yep."
Yeah, he just says yes.
Yeah, and Riku's like, "Why didn't you tell us?" And then it like zooms in on Orin's face, and he says,
"If I had told you the truth, would that really have stopped you from coming?"
And then it kind of just goes on, and we see Kimari like watching Yuna as she's about to enter through this door, and he says, "Yuna," and she just goes on and says, "I'm not going back." Kimari knows. Kimari goes first. Yuna is safe. Kimari protect. And then they kind of continue on. I love Kimari so much.
Actually, now that I think about it, the last time we had Erin on was the last time we saw Yunalesca too, right?
Yeah, that's actually why I asked to be back on.
Yeah.
I'm just here for Yunalesca. Unamorca, to steal a joke there.
Oh yeah, that's when we first heard about Yunalesca through Seymour, right?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
saw it in that vision, that his funky little VR presentation.
Yeah.
his funky VR. Seymour and his funky VR. That's what we should have called that episode.
Seymour's PowerPoint.
Yeah. Next slide, please.
What if I told you dying is actually good?
How to die better, how to die faster. 4-hour die week.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Seymour's whole philosophy on life is just die young and leave a beautiful corpse.
Yes.
Die young and then die again and then die again.
Die as many times as possible.
Yeah. Livent already, would you? So we walk into the next room, which is like a very large open chamber. I don't know if it's an atrium anymore. I've ruined that word for myself.
This does look like the Makalania temple where we saw I'm not sure if it was going to be a reception or a pre-wedding celebration thing that was happening. With the band playing and...
What's the difference between an atrium and a foyer? Or a foyer?
A foyer.
An atrium and a foyer.
This isn't a trick question. I genuinely want to know.
I think no one on this podcast is qualified to answer that.
Foyer, an entrance hall
caboose.
or open area in a building used by the public, especially a hotel or theater.
Okay.
I like it.
And then an atrium is defined as a foyer versus atrium. There's actually some difference.
Oh, no.
Okay, good. There's further discussion.
We'll link to it in the show notes.
We're going to get strong responses from Team Foyer versus Team Atrium.
Atrium, it's any chamber that's connected to other chambers or passageways. So the atrium is maybe kind of...
Doesn't have to be the first room, but is like a vestibule? Okay.
Yeah.
A foyer would have to be in the first room, right?
The atrium is where Ultima is on the sphere grid.
Okay, that helps.
Foyer is where you start. That's what I'm guessing.
Cool. Now that we've settled that, atrium.
Yeah, airtight.
We'll forget in 2 episodes. It's fine.
I know. I still don't remember where the engineer sits.
Learn nothing. That's the goal.
If it's one thing this podcast does well, it's learn absolutely nothing.
So yeah, as soon as we walk into this room, Riku says, "Someone's coming," and then we see Lady Yunalesca.
Hell yeah.
And,
Nice.
yeah, all double cheeked up once again.
Yeah. She looks like a sim.
Like a sim.
Yeah.
She does actually look like a sim.
She's very wispy. The closest I can think of is just I've been playing a lot of Hades, so I'm just thinking of a lot of Aphrodite.
Totally.
Nice.
Just long wispy hair that kind of seems to have a mind of its own. But yeah, just same as we saw her, just in her kind of ornate bikini.
She has little tassels coming off of her bikini, and they have the Yevon symbol, the Alpha Yevon symbol on them, and I'm noticing that right now.
Yeah,
because that's an important symbol.
That's sacrilege.
Whatever. Did we discuss this last time? That's her hair, right?
Where?
I think so, right? All the
Where? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
things kind of...
Oh, there's some on the top
off.
of her head, too, that look almost like praying mantis antennae.
Yeah.
Yeah, that almost looks like a headdress kind
This
of thing.
was during the mid-2000s where that was very hot in anime design.
She does look like a more humanized version of a Pokemon legendary dog or something. She's got the weird little
Oh, yeah,
Suicune.
Suicune.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Lady Yunalesca appears and says,
Welcome to Zanarkand. I congratulate you, Summoner. You have completed your pilgrimage. I will now bestow you with that which you seek. The final summoning will be yours.
and she extends her arms out. It's all very grand and theatric. And she says, "Now choose. You must choose the one whom I will change to become the Fayth of the final summoning." And everybody gasps, "What? What a revelation."
I wanted to ask 2 things. One, what if Yuna showed up alone? Because she was supposed to come down here alone originally, right? She came down.
And pray to the Fayth, right.
Yeah, and then
maybe the rest of the party is just standing in that room before, and one of them just becomes a Fayth. Like, oh!
I mean, she did go down first by herself, and like everyone was kind of just waiting around, and then she came back up and she was like, "Oh shit! Like you guys need to come and check this out."
Yeah.
You just mean
One
in
of
general?
you has
what
to
if
die.
she came? Yeah, like you mean if she didn't have a guardian?
no
at
one was
all?
around. Like, oh, I don't have any guardians. I fucking did it myself, bitch.
Yeah. All of my guardians died on Gagazet.
But then the other thing is, like, it seems like all the kind of echoes, those memories we saw earlier, like, they all seem to kind of know that this was happening before they even reached this chamber.
Yeah.
So, like, why doesn't Yuna's party know that this is how things work, but everyone else kind of previously seemed to know that?
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if like the memories or whatever are kind of like, or like those like ghosts that we saw earlier.
Yunalesca used to live like closer to the front of like the dome, and she was like,
I believe they're called Fate
Let's
spirits.
get lousy with fiends in
this.
here. I'm gonna fucking move back there.
Well, I wonder if like those thoughts are like combinations of what they were thinking the whole time that they were in the dome and not just like at that point. I don't know. It doesn't have to make sense. But
Yeah, I think when we get more like actual dialogue between like those memories or whatever, I think it actually does put it into more perspective that like this was also knowledge that like Braska and his party learned when getting here.
That's true. That's true.
I think
Oh, yeah.
so.
Shit,
Yeah.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all messy.
But Yunalesca says, there must be a bond between chosen and summoner, for that is what the final summoning embodies. The bond between husband and wife, mother and child, or between friends. If that bond is strong enough, its light will conquer sin. 1,000 years ago, I chose my husband, Zayon, as my Fayth. Our bond was true, and I obtained the final Aeon. There is nothing to fear. You will soon be freed of worry and pain.
Well, that's relieving.
Yeah, I know. But for once you call forth the final Aeon, your life will end. Death is the ultimate and final liberation. And I was like, that's very Seymour-esque. Like,
Yeah, which
Yeah, maybe when Seymour was here as a fucking shitty little kid, he like,
This is where he got radicalized.
I'm not ready for this, but I like it. I like what you're bringing
but
to
I
the
like
table.
it.
Yeah, this is where Seymour got the always be dying mindset.
ABD.
Yeah, always be dying.
He got Yunalesca pilled.
Yunalesca pill. He got, just got into her YouTube channel like way too young, just trying to watch Minecraft videos. I'm like,
And then you get caught in the algorithm.
next thing you know, he's committing Ronso genocide.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he got sucked in because she was like, listen, it's tough, but you got to clean your room and you'll feel better. And
And she was in the bikini, and it's like, well, now I've watched 10 hours of this, so
So Seymour as a child, it was like a good like prog rock album. When like Seymour was a child, he's like, I didn't really understand it. It's too complex. But
When I was a young boy, Mama took me to Xanarkin side.
to summon the final Aeon.
somewhere Mutsky's listening to this and he's like, don't steal my bit, you motherfuckers.
Your father, Braska, chose this path.
And then we see a ghostly imaging of Braska, Erin, and Jecht, right? Like we see another one of these not flashbacks, but astral projections or whatever, right?
It's almost like a flash forward, but it's flashing from the back, right? The flashback's coming to you instead of the other way around.
Yeah, right. Erin, we see like ghastly Erin say,
It is not too late. Let us turn back.
If I turn back, who will defeat sin? Would you have some other summoner and his guardians go through this?
and Erin sounding like us, like sounding like Titus, is like, but my lord, there must be another way. And then like Jecht is on board, right? Like he's like committed to the bit now. He's just like, this is the only way we got now. Fine.
He has also been Yunalesca pilled.
duty
as well, yeah. He says, make me the Fayth. I've been doing some thinking. My dream is back in the other Xanarkand. I wanted to make that runt into a star blitzball player. Speaking of Titus, yeah.
Yeah.
Show him the view from the top, you know. But now I know there's no way home for me. I'm never going to see him again. My dream is never going to come true. So make me the Fayth.
I'll fight sin with you, Braska. Then maybe my life will have meaning, you know?
And I was like, oh boy, Jecht is fully in now. Because, like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the end of Jecht's trajectory as far as like in the past, right? Where like he's very like
When Jecht was still Jecht.
yeah, right. Very self-serving and like very boisterous to like completely committed to something else. And also that realization that Titus has had where he's like, yeah, I'm never going to go back. Like, it's over now. There is no going to the other Xanarkand.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also just very sweet that we kind of, see more about Jecht's whole, like his dreams and ambitions. And it was like really to help Titus out. And like, he was like really bad at showing affection and he showed it in his own way. But it was like, he wasn't like, no, you're never going to do this. You're never going to be a star or something. He was just like kind of doing the tough love thing a little too hard on Titus. But like, it's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice seeing it through that lens because like, I mean, I was speculative when we were seeing all these flashbacks, like how much of this is just Titus's point of view.
Perception of a shitty dad. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he was a shitty dad, but like he didn't not love him.
Yeah, but he wasn't like...
He was a shitty dad in the way you can be like a shitty guitar player. He's just not good at it. So like...
He's trying his best.
He can almost play some Green Day. He's going to get there. It's fine. Should we continue reading every one, or like should we
There's
paraphrase?
a lot, but yeah, like Orin just is still like stepping like, don't do this, Jecht. If you live, there may be another way. And there's still like pretty much the same conversation we've been having. Like we're just kind of Orin is in denial. Jecht and Braska are kind of like resigned to like, well, this is the way forward.
Yeah, like Jecht is like, I've been thinking this through. Like this isn't just coming out of nowhere. Like he's like, yeah, I'm not getting any younger, so like I might as well make myself useful.
I do like that line.
It's pretty good. Like I mean,
love that Auron is the one that points out like sin always comes back. Like
yeah.
This system is not sustainable, and it's neat seeing that from Dad.
The cycle will continue, and your deaths mean nothing. Being like Orin's dialogue there is really good.
I mean, it could be compared to like the trolley car situation where like do we sacrifice two others to buy us some more time, or do we or we let everyone suffer because there is no way out? It's like futile.
Sounds like I'm gonna be making a meme for the Instagram after this.
But yeah, I do like that. There's also Jecht this is where kind of Jecht bestows the kind of responsibility of Auron, kind of be like,
yeah, you're guarding Braska, yeah.
Which this also adds more context to the previous team, where like, oh, she just went down to the final summoning chamber and didn't say goodbye to anybody, but that probably is just like, oh yeah, she's gonna come back with the final Aeon, and then we can go kick Sin's ass.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
like you get the final Aeon, and then summoning it is what kills you. Yeah.
I will say the last interesting thing I think in this little scene is when Jecht and Braska are like walking up the stairs at the end of this room into like Yunalesca's chamber, right? And like Orin is mentioning, they're like, oh yeah, Sin always comes back, and Jecht's like, don't worry, I will find a way to break that cycle. And he's like, oh, do you have a plan? And he goes, I'll figure out something. And I'm like, oh no, Jecht. But I do like that, like, for me as like a person playing this game, right? Like I'm like, did Jecht figure out a way? Is there something going on?
He's not of this world, so
yeah, like
there could be a Fayth dream loophole.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so
he doesn't have his spirit documentation. So
I like the cut back to regular like present tense Auron and just saying, well, the cycle went on, so.
Yeah.
Right. He did not think of something.
Yeah, like narrator voice. He didn't.
Maybe if I just sacrifice his son, something will happen. I don't know.
Yeah. I do like the way that like the camera does transition back to Auron too, or to like current our party, where like you see real Auron behind the translucent projection of himself, and they're like all lined up, and then he like gets very angry for the first time I've seen Auron like express that much emotion, and he like swipes his sword and like dismisses all the fireflies, and he's like screaming. It's very very powerful.
Real cool. Also, another cool thing that I noticed on
he punches a hole in the drywall.
Drinks a Monster Energy drink.
Every day I wake up,
and the cycle's going on.
I didn't notice this before. We might have talked about it, but I don't think we did. But like past Auron has like a kick-ass like ponytail.
Oh, dude!
Oh yeah,
it's like super
good.
long hair.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
No, if it's short hair in the front, does that make it a rat tail, or is it the length that makes it a rat tail?
Perhaps.
I think it's the length.
Very samurai aesthetic.
Oh yeah, it's real kick-ass.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, but Auron, as Curtis was saying, and he said, and the cycle went on.
As
and then,
Erin was saying, you
Oh, as
fool.
Erin was saying. Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
Look how good this camera makes my points look.
The lights help.
It's a podcast, Curtis.
Yeah. As Erin was saying, Auron's like, and the cycle went on, and then Titus kind of chimes in, echoing kind of like the mentality that Jecht had, and he says,
We'll break it. But how? What, you got a plan now?
and Lulu's like, if one of us has to become a Fayth, I volunteer. Like, they're kind of dismissing Titus and being like,
yeah,
like we have to keep doing the only thing that we
No time
like,
for pipe dreams. We gotta fucking do something now.
Yeah, and then Waka chimes in. He says, "Me too, Yuna." Like everyone's just like, "I am gonna do it."
Yeah,
it's like we only need one person. Guys.
I will say, it's silly in one way, but on another way, it is very nice.
Has anyone tried getting 2 final Aeons in one?
That's true. Why they haven't been able to win. Yeah,
maybe that'll do it. We can't have 2 sins.
Yeah,
Actually,
I mean, if Final Fantasy taught us anything, the word "final" means jack shit. It means nothing.
I will say we haven't gotten there yet, but there is precedent for there being more than one Fayth per Aeon.
Ice climbers.
Right.
Spoiler, Jesus.
Technically, the controller only controls one of them, but if you can position both ice climbers on either side, or both Aeons on either side of Sin, you can get them stun locked in an A attack, and you can do all the damage you need to. And then Yuna uses the overdrive, and it just goes, game! Anyway, but yeah, so Titus says, that still won't change anything, You'd bring the calm, and then what? That won't break the cycle. And Waka says, listen.
You want to defeat Sin and keep Yuna alive. You don't want Sin to come back, yeah? That is just not gonna happen, brother,
And I was like, I love the way he says that line, and I love everything about that. He's just like, look, it is time to stop fucking around. That is not going to happen.
Oh, yeah. The next line, Lulu is like, if you want everything, you'll end up with nothing. And Titus is like, but I want everything.
I want everything.
And
we tried nothing, and we're all out of ideas.
It's my infinite calm, and I want it now.
The delivery of the line, too, is very, it's very silly. He's just but I want everything.
Yeah, and Waka calls him out, like what everyone playing this is probably thinking. He says, now you're being childish. And Titus immediately continues being childish, and he says, I give up.
What's an adult to do, then?
Yeah, he says that. He's like, what would an adult do? They know they can just throw away a summoner, then they can do whatever they like. You're right, I might not even have a chance, but no way am I just going to stand here and let Yuna go. And what Auron said about there being a way, I think it's true. And I like that, again, all of this is based on nothing. He's like, I think Auron was right when he said that there's a way. And Auron just last episode was like, I changed nothing. Nothing worked. There wasn't a way.
Jecht thought this, but we couldn't do it. He didn't do it. There is no way. I am proof of that.
But I do like that they come up with the idea that Titus is like, I'm going to go ask Yunalesca. And I'm like, ooh, I do like that plan.
He's like, what would an adult do? I know. I'll go ask mom.
I don't know. This is the climax of every Steven Universe episode. Oh yeah, we'll just talk it out.
Yeah.
Use our feelings.
That's a good plan. I mean,
and then save the world.
I'm gonna speak to their manager.
I think we skipped over a point where as Titus is going through all of this, Riku says, you'll think of something in quotes where she's like, you're just like Jecht. You'll
she
think
was part
of
that deal too. It's like the Paris, it's like the Paris deal or whatever, right? She signed on to this. She's trying to fix it too. But Titus says,
I don't know, but I have to try. This is my story. It'll go the way I want it, or I'll end it here.
And then I like that Yuna kind of has a little, not a snapback to this, but she says something in regards to it. Says, you say it's your story, but it's my story too, It would be so easy to let my fate carry me away, following the same path my whole life through, but I know I can't. What I do with no regrets. And I do like that Yuna was like, look, you're always saying that it's your story, but there are 7 people in this party, bud.
Yeah, you're the furthest one from the story being about you.
He's echoing kind of what we thought when we first met the whole party. I'm like, oh yeah, Titus is the newcomer. He needs to kind
of slow his roll a little bit.
Yeah.
He's used to being kind of the center of attention.
I wonder, it does make me wonder, what Yuna was saying there. I wonder if Yuna already has in mind what she is getting ready to do in the next scene, where she was like, it would be easy to let fate just carry me wherever, but I'm thinking about doing something else. And I'm like, oh, does she already have a plan? Is she already like in the zone with this?
That would make sense with her
Attack
character
and
too.
dethrone
Like,
fate.
Attack and dethrone Yunalesca. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a cool inversion of like or I don't know if inversion's the word for it, but like usually with like video games you play as the main character and stuff, and it's like, oh, this is my story.
Yeah.
This is the story of Link, kind of, and you know, like
Orin said it was his story.
yeah, it's always like
Orin's
that.
usually right.
And it's like
Orin's responsible for all this fucking voiceover.
and it's you know, it's like we as the player see this as Titus's story because we see it as our story because we were playing through as Titus, but it's like it's really not, and it's kind of like the whole thing is like, yeah, you keep saying it's your story, but like you have to see by now that it's really not. Like this is bigger than just you, Titus.
Yeah.
She's been preparing for this for years, and he
Didn't know what a summoner was like 6 months ago.
a summoner. Yeah, what's a summoner?
Summoner, yeah.
Summoner.
So the party finally goes up into the next room, into Yunalesca's chamber, and Yunalesca's chamber is just outer space.
Hell yeah.
The Beyond, I think, is the name of this space. It looks like just a dungeon floor floating in void.
The first section was bed, and then the last one was bath, and then this is beyond. There's comets and stars and fragrant bath oils everywhere. It's
Nice candles. It smells.
You don't
very,
talk enough
very
about
nice.
what stuff smells like in this world.
It's true.
Seymour.
Mildew, probably.
It's
probably
stinky.
Everything is wet.
so moist and wet. Yeah.
This whole place is flooded, so yeah, I guess so. But yeah, this is like Final Destination.
Yeah, this definitely.
And they come to
God.
Final Destination.
Yeah, it seems like it probably smells like when like there's like an unfinished basement that like floods all the time.
Yes.
And like when you first go down there and you're like, oh,
Oof.
I gotta get the sub pump and
We
Carl speaks from experience.
Titus,
Yeah.
Titus challenges Yunalesca to only Fox, no items.
Do you think the like spectral monk guy like goes out and like gets her like Febreze refills and stuff, or do you think that they can get like
That's
delivered?
right. Yeah. Well, I wonder, like, is Yunalesca Fireflies? I guess she's alive.
She has.
I think she's
fireflies
unsent.
around her, right?
yeah,
She's
she's probably
unsent.
unsent.
Okay.
I mean, who isn't in this fucking game?
But not
Dude,
unscented.
who
is
isn't
what
in
we've
this
established.
workaday world? I tell you.
Unscented, slept on.
Yeah,
Very good.
Unscented.
Unscented. Everybody missed it. Just yeah. Perfect.
That's such.
Cut it.
That's so good. Yeah, cut it. Face it. That's great.
Print the episode. We're done here.
What if fireflies smell like they're unscented? That's so-
Oh shit. Oh, that's beautiful.
I feel like that's our first like good like popsicle stick joke. You know what I mean?
I think that's our
some
first
Laffy
good
Taffy
joke.
Oh, that's good. That works on exactly 2 levels. That's fantastic.
No more, no
no
less.
less.
All you need.
Yeah. All right, so we're in outer space.
So we're in Yuna's chambers.
Yeah, bitch, you live like
Yunalesca's
this.
chamber.
Yeah.
But yeah,
man.
it's an empty area, but she just kind of appears again, like this is her room. But
Yeah.
Have you chosen the one to become your Fayth? Who will it be?
Might I ask something first? Will sin come back even should I use the final summoning to defeat it?
Sin is eternal.
every Aeon that defeats it becomes sin in its place, and thus is sin reborn.
And that's huge, right? Like,
yeah,
that
that's
is
a huge thing. Yeah,
that is
like,
a
that's a big
huge
question
thing.
that we've had. That's now like, oh, okay, that's how it works. And
Yeah, like,
and
why
Titus,
does sin come back? Like, sin is just the last final Aeon that we like used.
We've
to
been
do.
kind of suspecting it
Yeah.
more and more as we see, like, okay, Jekt is sin. That's point B. And as we've been getting closer and closer, like, okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here with like all the other
Yeah.
Guardians kind of giving themselves up to basically fill the space of the final Aeon.
Yeah,
Right.
and Titus underlines it and says, so that's why Jekt became sin. And Yunalesca explains more and says, sin is an inevitable part of Spira's destiny. It is never ending. And Waka's like, never ending?
But if we atone for our crimes, sin will stop coming back, yeah?
Someday it'll be gone, yeah? And like Yunalesca's just like, will humanity ever attain such purity? And then like they're all starting to get pretty fucking pissed.
Yeah, Lulu gets mad too next.
And that's
She
why
says,
I love that, because like the whole game has been about like Waka kind of losing his faith. And
I know.
Or like coming to terms with it, or like, you know, you see like pre like flashback Oron and modern Oron, and like watching Lulu realize that like the religion is a sham. Like this whole scene fucking slaps.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Waka in the corner. That's him in the spotlight.
Losing ties with Yevon.
That's way better than what I. That's way better than what I was
Saying
gonna say.
fuck you, Yevon.
Lulu says, this cannot be. The teachings state that we can exercise sin with complete atonement. It's been our only hope all these years. And Yunalesca says, hope is comforting. It allows us to accept fate, however tragic it may be.
Yeah,
and
and then there's like a really cool thing that happens where like Titus is fucking pissed off and he's like no and charging with his sword, and at the same
Titus
time
is getting ready to like run up and like soccer one, right?
Yeah, and like at the same exact time there's also like the memory Auron like doing the same exact thing, saying no at the exact same time.
Yeah, and it shows Auron like run up and kind of like have a standoff with Yunalesca.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the sense in all this? Braska believed in Yevon's teachings and died for them. Jekt believed in Braska and gave his life for him.
And Yunalesca says they chose to die because they had hope.
And then Auron charges, like this is Ghost Auron, this is a vision of the past, charges Yunalesca like with intent to kill. And he's like gonna fucking murk Yunalesca right here. And she like, what? I don't have.
It's like a force field.
Yeah, it's
and
like
then
zap.
like sort of like and then like kind of like pushes him back and just bodies
like
his
an
ass.
AT field.
Yeah.
She just counters him, and he kind of goes flinging towards the camera and lands.
She does the
first.
Fox down B move and reflects it.
Oh my god, she still has all 5 of her stock left. There's no way we're gonna beat her. She's going to Evo.
We see him completely get blown back, pretty much just land right in the foreground. And
yeah, his sword it like flies into the ground and is just sticking out. Like he's like down.
It does that cool anime thing that swords do when they hit the ground and they're always sticking straight up.
That doesn't explain his scar though. I was hoping we'd see a cool scar like how he got it. We're never gonna know.
Yeah,
never know. Yeah. Yunalesca
probably just a blitzball accident.
And I will say this: the Yunalesca speaking, I get the feeling that like it's just modern Yunalesca like quoting against Auron. Like she has like some kind of like non-temporal quality, because I didn't see like a ghost Yunalesca. It's just kind of like
she kind of exists outside of temporal space. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
kind of what I got from the Beyond, is like she kind of lives outside of all of this.
She's like Sephiroth in the Temple of the Ancients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Alex, you should bleep this out, but she's like Ultimatia in the time compressed zone.
Yeah.
No, we leave Ultimatia in every time.
The only reason I think it's actually a memory Yunalesca is because she has a bluish hue to her that's different than the one we see when we're talking to her normally.
True.
Oh, maybe so.
The memories kind of have a bluish, like, Star Wars
hologram
thing. It's also I think Yunalesca is like right in the center currently in present time.
Yeah, you can see R2-D2 projecting her actually.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's fair.
You're wrong, Curtis. This isn't another Sephiroth thing.
She's just not there. Yeah, I was just say she's just not there in that scene then. But yeah, she says Yevon's teachings and the final summoning give the people of Spira hope. Without hope, they would drown in their sorrow. Now choose who will be your faith. Who will be the one to renew Spira's hope? And I was just like, oh, it's so like tense. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like we learned all this stuff that like none of it, like, not that none of it matters. Like, you know, Yuna has said before, like, don't say that the calm doesn't matter just because sin comes back. Like, it still matters. 10 years without sin is huge.
Yeah.
So, like, but it is kind of like, oh man, like literally it will just continue forever. And like,
but like Yuna's about to have her big moment.
Yeah, right. And she does have a big moment, an awesome big moment here.
Yeah, do you want to take that one away, Erin? Do you have the script in front of you?
Oh yeah. Who will be the one to renew Spira's hope there? And Yuna's just like, nobody. Yeah, I would have gladly died. I live for the people of Spirit and would have gladly died for them, but no more. The final summoning is a false tradition that should be thrown away.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yes, dude.
And I like everybody on the pod. I can see everybody's camera. Like everybody raised their fist up in the air.
Yes. And then Yunalesca says it's our only hope, and that your father sacrificed himself to give the hope to the people so they would forget sorrow. And then Yuna's like, no, bitch. My father wanted to make Spirit's sorrow go away, not just cover it up with lies. Beautiful.
And Yunalesca does say, sorrow cannot be abolished, it is meaningless to try.
Which is
She
fair.
clearly never met Iwata.
This is why reform is bad.
This is where reform is bad. We should improve things slightly, maybe.
But we should not do the
improve
pilgrimage.
society somewhat.
Yet you
That's what it was.
decided so on your pilgrimage. Curious. I'm very smart, you see.
You posted that opinion, Yunalesca, on your iPhone. How interesting.
Yuna says,
My father, I loved him. So I will live with my sorrow. I will live my own life. I will defeat sorrow in his place. I will stand my ground and be strong.
I don't know when it will be, but someday I will conquer it, and I will do without false hope.
Hell
and I'm
yeah.
like, oh, that's so good. I love that Yuna got to the end of her pilgrimage and was just like, I'm not going to get the final Aeon. Go fuck yourself. And
This
I'm
is
like,
over. No one's doing this again.
I
I'm
know.
the last pilgrimage.
I know.
This
I
shit
know.
fucking sucks. Like,
shit
no
rules.
more.
I love it. I love it. Like, this is like such a good fucking scene because like the whole game pretty much has just been like learning to accept what cannot be changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's been a
And,
very
like,
like 10 is a very bummer of a game.
It's very fatalistic. Yeah.
yeah.
It's also rad because the whole game has had this thing with, Titus being all like, I'm gonna change thing, or him and Riku wanna find a way to fix it or to do something different, and then Yuna's like, no, fuck this, it's me. Like I'm putting a stop to this.
Yeah. I love it.
It also, this thing with like false hope, it just reminded me of the episode of Futurama where Bender gets like shot into space and they're like, they can't catch up with him and like they're trying to find him, so they find that like fortune teller robot and like they're talking to it and like she's like lying to him and saying like, oh, like, Bender, and she's like, hey, do you want false hope or not? And he's like, only if you don't have any of the real kind.
But yeah, Yunalesca says,
Poor creature. You would throw away hope. Well, I will free you before you can drown in your sorrow.
it is better for you to die in hope than live in despair. Let me be your liberator. And she starts like kind of transforming a little bit into a creepo monster.
Hell yeah.
It's very Seymour energy again.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah,
like we were talking.
Since it seemed to want your death so bad.
Yeah.
We were kind of like confused about like Seymour's actual motivations. And we're like, yeah, we get like what you're saying, but it's stupid and we don't understand your motivations. But like the fact that it's coming like exactly the same sort of philosophy coming from Yunalesca, who like sits at the end of all of this and is like at the top of like the Church of Yevon and stuff. It's like, oh, okay, it makes sense that this is where his motivation is coming from. So
these are the actual teachings of Yevon. Yeah. As opposed to what we've been sort of told is the is the church.
This is top of the chain for
like Scientology. Like you got to get to the inside, and then you find out that it's just been aliens the whole time.
It's all scam.
Yeah.
This is what we call mask off.
Now, if you are somebody who plays FF10 like multiple times, if you're the kind of person who enjoys FF10 like that, or if you're a speedrunner of FF10, or you've watched speedruns of FF10, starting right here is the copy pasta for FF10. Because like every time I like watch speedruns of this game, when people get to this point, people have like a copy pasta ready to go and just spam it in the chat. And so like the chat goes by so quick and you'll just have like 100 people just like spamming Oren's speech here. It's great.
Hell yeah.
What the fuck did you just say about me, you little bitch? I have you know I graduated top of my class in the Navy SEALs. Is it that one?
That's the one. There were 40 confirmed kills. I don't know. I'm going to ask future Alex this. Do we play the sample or do we have somebody read it?
I mean, I'm definitely gonna have to play some of it for effect, but like,
yeah, please do the sample.
I always do the sample in and out, but yeah,
I think we should just have the sample play.
Starting here now is like everyone kind of gets their kind of big like kind of final like quote in, but at the same time, the camera's doing this kind of glitchy Tyler Durden effect.
Dude, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like spazzing around, kind of like low up and down, like it's kind of glitching in and out, almost like I'm not sure, like we're kind of tearing the Matrix or something like that, like. I think it's supposed to symbolize like we are breaking tradition by deciding to like break the basically fight fate. But,
right.
Yeah, or as Orin is speaking, which is
I just gotta say real quick before we go on, like this is a great shot of Orin right here, and like I get that like we're playing on the HD remaster, so our textures are gonna be like better than the original one. I'm just like look at this,
dude.
Yes, so fucking good.
You can see the dirt and the grime in his forehead. It's great. I'm sorry. Anyway, does anybody want to read it with bravado? Guests.
Yeah.
Do any of you want to be Orin?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, hell yeah.
He's all, now, this is it. Now is the time to choose. Die and be free of pain or live and fight. And I missed a screenshot.
Or live and fight your sorrow.
Now is the time to shape your stories. Your fate is in your hands.
I love it.
Fucking
so
good.
I keep forgetting that Mike is a singer, so he has a really nice
thank you.
Smoky voice.
Just start saying it before shows, like before you play your first song. Now is the time to choose.
Backstage, we're all like, all right, everybody, we got
a fucking
this.
Proto Man show.
That's your that's your mic.
Yeah. The band, a band before like they go out to play the show, they like everybody puts their hands in and like somebody says, "Now is the time to choose," and then like the bass player is like, "I can't believe we're gonna fight Yunalesca."
Oh jeez.
Kamari's the bass player, right?
Yeah.
Waka's got real bass player energy.
Yeah.
Kamari says, Yuna need Kamari. Kamari, protect Yuna. And then Riku bounces in. Well, I'm fighting.
Yeah. And then Waka has
this
the
is like big anime vibes where everyone's got to get their like.
They got their little
and
one-liner.
I'm like, you've got my
I'm here too.
And then
everyone roll sound off. Everyone's here.
Vegeta's there and he says, Kakarot, I'm not letting you have all the glory. I do this as the prince of all Saiyans. It's pretty sick.
Waka has the greatest line. Like, I can't believe we're gonna fight Lady Yunalesca. Give me a break.
So sick.
And he's like in his battle position. He's ready to go. And he's just like, give me a break.
Yeah, and Lulu's like, yeah, you could always run. And Wawa goes, ha, I'd never forgive myself. No way. Not if I ran away now. Even in death, yeah.
Even in death, yeah.
So
and, like,
fucking good.
I don't know, like, I'm sure that like Carl and Alex, like, because we've been on the season of FF10 for quite a while now, many episodes, like I have been saying even in death, yeah, like like outside of recording the whole time, and like finally we got to it.
Fuck yeah, it's so good.
And then like Phoebe from the Magic School Bus is like, we didn't do this at my old school.
Lisa Simpson says, I'll be in my room.
That's right. Lulu says, my thoughts exactly. And then Titus says, this is our story, which is great. Now let's see this thing through together. And we start to fight Yunalesca.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I think we need to take a break.
Is now a good time?
Now's probably a good time, yeah.
Would you say now is the time?
Now is the time to break.
I'm looking at the fandom right now, like the wiki page or whatever. And it says, I mean, I guess this is something that like a way of categorizing enemies that like is just not shown usually, but it says other information about Yunalesca. Enemy is tough, heavy.
What did I say on pod or was it off pod where I described heavy? Where I was like, that is the tag. No, I was talking to somebody at work, as I do. I was talking to somebody at work about Final Fantasy. God.
Yeah, you, at your job, the podcast.
Yeah, but I was describing that like in Final Fantasy like programming parlance, the technical term they use for all of their bosses is heavy.
Oh, okay.
It basically like is a tag that they give to certain enemies to show that like tricks aren't going to work on them, like one hit things aren't going to work.
Certain status effects and stuff like that likely too.
Yeah, I think the developer who like coined that at Square, if I'm not mistaken, was Martin McFly.
This is heavy.
Son of a...
You just imagine him going through like programming and going, "This is heavy. This is heavy. This is heavy."
Whoa, Sock! This boss is heavy.
Sock. I also feel okay. So I will say this should stay in. Someone did point out to us on Twitter, and I know that like we've like mildly addressed this before, but like Nomura didn't direct this game. As much as we blame him for everything bad in it,
yeah,
it's just funny.
It's our thanks, Obama.
But we do it so much that I was like, no, I do understand that people would be confused by that because we're constantly like, what a good choice.
Disclaimer.
His name's on the screenshots, okay? So
yeah, exactly.
Right,
he doesn't want to catch shit for it. He should not have a fucking watermark on the screenshot of Yunalesca that I have,
which
showing that she's immune to bio.
Oddly enough, the Steam version doesn't do that.
Oh, interesting.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah, Steam also probably doesn't block you from like taking screenshots during certain cutscenes, right?
No,
Yeah.
yeah, not at all. Like,
Titus and
I'm
Yuna kissing.
slamming F9.
And all like, yeah, just print screen.
So Yunalesca, y'all.
Yunalesca.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal.
Well, I was gonna ask who. So I've played this game recently enough that I was like, I remember your tricks, Yunalesca. Who died on this fight out of all of us?
I definitely did, but I knew what I was getting myself into, and then fucked up because I prepared the wrong way.
Yeah, because
After the first death that I took, I did the same thing. I actually died twice on this fight, and it was because in the same way, like, I was in the second fight, and I was like, okay, I know the trick. I can get past this. I have a really good strategy that I'm going to do. And then I also fucked it up and died again.
So yeah, this fight is interesting because there's like a lot of, there's kind of a fake out. Like you think you know the rules, and then there's 3 phases, spoiler. By the third phase, like it kind of fucks you up. It's kind of like the final fuck you at the end once you make it that far.
there is such a fuck you in this.
But if you're prepared, this fight isn't too bad.
Yeah. It's a cool fight. It's like, I mean, there is a bullshit, like, you can get entirely wiped without anything you can really do about it, which you have to see coming, which is kind of a fuck you. Like, I usually hate that in games, but it was the kind of thing, too, where I'm like, okay, now that I know about it, though, it's not a big deal. And I actually enjoyed trying to figure out how to get by it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Most of it is pretty good, and I will say, like, the normal fight, like the normal fight, the challenging aspects of this fight are really well thought out, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also really well timed, because we recently had a boss fight where the gimmick was, like, we're turned into zombies, and then, you know, Kiraga is used on us, or life is used on us, and we're dead. How do we get past that? And this kind of has a similar thing.
It's kind of the inverse of it.
In the inverse of it, where, like, it takes what we're like, oh, I know this old trick. I don't have to worry about this. And then, like, being like, oh, wait.
Much like the rest of the world.
The final phase counts on you, like, figuring out the trick before you get to that phase. But the trick is actually not to do anything. And just find out how to stay alive in that phase. So yeah, we'll stop speaking obtusely.
So phase 1, right? So phase 1's pretty tight because, like, we have 2 different kinds of damage that we can do. Essentially, we can do, like, physical damage or magical damage, and Yunalesca counters. And depending on what you did to damage Yunalesca, she will counter appropriately. So if we have, like, Lulu or Yuna use, I mean, I guess anybody, but, like, that's who you would use the magic with, she'll counterattack with an attack that does damage and causes silence. Yeah. So now you have to waste a turn healing silence, unless you are, like, silence proof.
Or have, like, auto remedy or something like that, right?
Right. Which I did have auto remedy on for this battle, and that did help a lot.
Nice.
And if you attack with a physical attacker, she will counterattack with an attack that does damage and gives you blindness. So then you have to spend a turn getting rid of that. And the thing is, because it's a counterattack and it happens all the time, she's getting those in addition to her normal turns. So you're like, you're just like wasting HP and wasting time every time you decide to attack Yunalesca. So she becomes like this interesting barrier to try to get across.
It's a great boss fight, yeah.
It's great. It is great. So I always feel like for me, the way I always try to do it is just the most damage I can do as fast as possible on Form 1. Because the longer I stick in there, the more annoying it's going to be. The more I'm going to be like slowly taking my health down. Because she doesn't do a ton of damage, but she just ticks you down over time because you can't do anything to her without receiving damage. So I'm like, let's just pop all the overdrives right now. Like, let's just go into it and just get her out of this phase. Yeah.
I think the third phase is the coolest one. It kind of looks like the goddess from Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, the third phase is definitely the wild one. But I will say before we get into the other rounds, the one thing that I think, the other interesting thing I will say about this phase is that her normal attack, when she gets her turn, it removes your positive status effects. So if you have like haste on, it'll slow you back down, and if you have protect, it'll get rid of it.
Yeah,
I think
it's called
pretty interesting.
On the wiki, that's called Dispelling Slap, which like I didn't kind of realize at first until, because I mean my first move is always like used Hey Saga with Titus, and then like she would like hit Lulu, and then I was like, wait, why isn't Lulu going? And I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of see how it's going. So she has a lot of just like defensive things. Like she doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but everything that she's doing is kind of like to make you waste a turn doing something to like get back into the position that you want to be in.
Right. And I do like her sensor description, which is just a Reaper of Souls.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And then it does say vulnerable to holy magic, and I was like, ooh, Carl gonna have a good time with this one.
Yeah, it actually kind of made a little more sense for me to just use double cast, which only does black magic, and use Ultima 2 times in a row with
That's fair.
with Yuna. But like holy was
Ultima.
Yeah, like I kind of also I found myself in a situation a couple of times where I was trying to like plan ahead to the next phase, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna take down her HP, so she's gonna transform into her next phase. So I don't want to do a double cast here, so I'll only do holy and do enough damage and stuff. But I'm doing like quad 9s with Yuna on either of those attacks, so it's like,
oh fuck yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
So you're like 2 turns and through Yunalesca phase 1.
Well, yeah, but what I really like about this fight in particular, and the past couple of boss fights where I was like, oh, I'm like OP now, like Yuna is the bringer of death, she cannot be stopped, is like FF10, like I do have that in my wheelhouse, but FF10's also kind of like, yeah, but you're not gonna be able to do what you want to do. Like that's the strat that you have, but you're not gonna do it.
The bosses are really well put together, I will say.
Yeah, in the next phase of it, there's a move, I think it's called like Hellbite or something, right?
Hellbiter.
So once you get through her initial 24,000 HP, she goes to her second phase, right? In the second phase, there's a little bit of a graphical change, like her hair becomes like thicker, almost like a cape, and there's like weird like wings or tendrils like
so I'm finding out she's actually like, I think throughout the fight emerging further and further from the ground. So like in the first phase you actually see her, but she already has a cape. And
it's almost kind of like she's sort of sitting on it like it's like a throne.
Then she pulls up higher, and then it turns out those are like part of like tentacles or something.
Yeah.
On her second phase, like, oh shit, there was all that under there. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a big eldritch horror like tentacled mass that like kind of comes up below her, and she's like sitting on it like a throne and like attacking you from it,
or it's like suspending her by her hair. Kind of her hair just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's very disturbing.
Yeah, and she uses this move that's called Hellbiter, which will hit your party sometimes multiple times, but it only does like 200 damage. It is really not that big of a deal, but it puts all of your party members in zombie, unless they have like zombie proof or zombie whatever the other one is, which I don't recommend using. Because you see this and you think, okay, when I fought Seymour, this was his trick. So
you're immediately in this like, because the game has trained you like, oh, zombie, that means full life could be next. So like, I don't want to be at one shot. So let's get everybody out of zombie.
So let's do holy water and take care of this. And
except it also Yunalesca will sometimes use Curaga or regen. On your party. So like regen is like
is such a
poisoning. It's like poison attack.
It's so good.
It's for zombies.
That's such a good reversal. I love that so much. That instead of poisoning you, she makes you zombie and then regens. And I was like,
Here's another thing with zombie that I didn't realize until this fight. It doesn't just work for healing items, it also works for ethers, because I was like just depending on Yuna to be the damage dealer and like take care of everything. And I was like, okay, I blew through all of my stuff. I need to use an ether now so that I can get a double cast off. And I went to use ether and it was just like, I had like 90 MB and then it was just like 0. And I was like, oh no.
Fuck. I did not know that. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's
this boss is fucking devious.
Yeah.
I really got to see what some of the other attacks
are.
The
last round changes the Hellbiter too, because then that changes it to where that she can use it even if you already are afflicted with zombie. Yeah. So it's like a further weird wrinkle.
Because I think in phase 2 she'll only do it if you're party members are not zombies.
Yeah. And then by the third round, it's like it's even defined the training she's doing to you while you're fighting her.
Yeah, right.
Hellacious.
So should we talk about the phase 2? Because phase 2 doesn't have that much going on. It has like Hellbiter, some normal attacks.
It's kind of the warm up to like the final phase.
Yeah.
So the final phase.
It's the fake out where it's like zombie, look out, and you're like, I don't want to be in zombie with whatever's coming next because I know full life is coming.
I remembered this. I remembered this fight, and I remembered the zombie bullshit, and so I went out of my way pre this to grind to make sure that I had equipment that had zombie proof and zombie ward.
You fool.
Yeah. And much like the rest of the universe, I forgot about Dave Mustaine. And so when we get into phase 3, and she launches Megadeth, and fucking kills my... Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, because phase 3 starts out, and do you want to... We should talk about what phase 3 looks like, because it's super fucking cool.
So you know those tentacles? Now she's on her back, and those tentacles are attached to a head. And it's basically a giant Medusa head that she was attached to the whole time.
Yep. It's
fucking
like,
wild.
It's like Yunalesca, the physical form that we saw standing there, like over top of that like little symbol. Like, so I should say too, like the whole time we were talking to her, she was standing on top of like a glowing plate in her room, and like that glowing plate, when we began to fight her and like, you know, phase 2 came up, revealed to be a hole. And it's like, oh, she's attached to something under the ground. And then we saw that big tentacled mass, and we're like, oh my god, there was that tentacled mass under the ground. That's as disgusting as she'll get. And like,
nope.
Yeah, it raises up, and there's this big, creepy, like, Medusa head thing. And it reminds me of like an anglerfish.
Yes.
That, like,
I was just looking that up.
Yes.
Yeah. I was,
like Yunalesca is the little light bulb on the end. Like the physical form we know is that little light bulb, but then it gets close and it's like this big monster. And I was like, oh, that's disgusting.
Additionally, there are 5 more tentacles that we didn't see that have like skeleton faces on the tips of them, which are like almost like fucking some H.R. Geiger looking bullshit. Like,
I think those are the things that pop up behind us and do Hellbiter.
Oh, I think so. That makes sense.
Do Hellbiter.
Those fucking Hellbites.
She's just got like huge cosmic horror vibes. Like it's fucking gnarly.
It's so good.
But like,
she looks like she's kind of lounging on it like a beach chair on the top of it. Like, because it's all still attached to her head.
Let the skeletons do all the work.
Oh, to be a Yunalesca lounging on a Medusa head.
So like you were saying, she starts this with, and like you don't get a chance to move or do have a turn or anything. The phase opens with the attack Megadeth, which is just, it uses death on all 3 of your party members. And that's it.
Yeah,
it game over.
You
then
just
we get to watch the
over.
cool Orin speech again.
So I wanted to say, you remember when we were like, hey, you know what the worst thing about the Seymour Flux fight is that it's behind a giant fucking cutscene? Like, that's the worst part of it. This is behind like 3 giant cutscenes, like in a row.
Which I'm not as mad about.
At least the cutscenes are cool.
Yeah.
You can go. Oh yeah, go back to the elevator before you go in this room.
You can save in between two. Like it's like in the middle.
Yeah,
but there's still the long one too. I was just like, because like the first time, if you don't know, like you wouldn't necessarily think to go back and save. before you head into Yunalesca's chamber because you just saved.
Yeah,
You've
you just saved.
So why
Yeah.
would you need to again? And like it makes you watch the whole thing. And I was like, game, you are trying my fucking patience. So so like the last time I played this and like not remembering how this
Steam,
works.
I think you can fast forward. I've been told by someone in our Discord. You can do
No, not the cutscenes.
Oh, not the cutscenes? Okay.
So the Steam version has a built-in 2x and 4x speed, but
Nice.
it goes back to regular speed during the cutscenes.
But can you skip cutscenes?
No.
Okay.
This game was a mistake.
We had so much free time back in the 20-aughts.
Yeah, I know. We can just watch it again. Like,
I could download like half an Eminem song by the time this cutscene's over.
That's an awfully hot coffee pot.
yeah, this. I'm furious. Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't mind it as much, but I was also kind of like, well, I can just put my Switch down and like go make some coffee or something, and like come back to it. Which
I could put my Switch down and just not pick it up again.
yeah, and there are some parts that you can like mash through. Not all of it, but like if you're hitting A, like there
It'll skip the part of the text, right?
Yeah. But so Megadeth. Do we want to talk about the trick of getting around Megadeth?
I hate it, but I love it.
I love it so much.
I want to talk about my prep.
Sure,
I had a lot of fun. So like, again, I was using kind of Riku's cheese strat where she did a trio of quad dines with using the wings to discovery.
The fire gems?
Yeah, and then fire gems. So like the first phase, the first two phases was Basil Blaster because of Riku. Which, yeah, again, I cast a trio of quad nines, threw a fire gem down for the first... Actually, the first phase is only 24,000, so I think I just had, like, Orin or... Basically, Orin and maybe threw, like, one in a grenade or something like that, and that just got through it. And then the second phase, I had Titus do his, like, slice and dice, which does, like, 6 attacks. Again, quad nines, that got through all 50, no problem. But in the third phase, like, okay, how am I going to do with this death thing? So... I did some prep, and what I did is I made Orin the designated zombie because he has the most HP.
Designated zombie.
So, okay, just for hell of it to kind of make things slightly easier. So for the first two phases, I have Riku. I gave her zombie proof, which I forget what you used to.
I think that's Candle of Life.
Yeah, Candle of Life, which you can steal from
the
Ghost
monks in the dome.
Yeah, in the previous area, and then I made because. Okay, I can have this character be a zombie, but how do you heal them? So I found out is that you can use those fire gems again and customize the armor to equip Fire Eater. So now I have Lulu basically be the healer, so if Orin receives damage and she needs a little top off, I can just have Lulu cast a fire attack on him.
That's pretty smart.
That's really smart.
Because that's like, I think really the only way to like recover HP while you're still a zombie. It's like, okay, I'll have him muscle through this. If he's struggling, I'll just call Lulu in quick to kind of like zap him.
I feel like I caveman strategy this a lot more.
But then the final phase, I just had Yuna. I had every single Aeon ready with an overdrive.
Oh, really?
And I just got through this last page, just like going down the list. Like, all right, let's start with Veil 4 and just go down the list. And then that was it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I did the thing where I was like, okay, there's a million ways I could approach this, which is really cool. Like I didn't think of like healing that way and stuff, but I was like, okay, I could really level grind and get zombie touch from Orin, maybe, or like and I was trying to think of a way that I could cast a zombie touch weapon on,
or zombie strike. I think it was the other one.
Yeah, zombie strike with like Yuna or someone with like low attack, so I could just make sure that at least one person was, and if I had to heal, then use holy water and stuff. And I was
the problem is that like with physical attacks, that they will just dodge. Like if you try to attack another, but like with Lulu, I think they won't like be able to like dodge a like magic attack. So like that's why I immediately looked into that.
Yeah, that's a really good strategy. Smart. On my second try, when I was like, oh, okay, so zombie is the way that you like. I don't think we said it explicitly, but Megadeth will miss if you have any party members with zombie. Which at that point, if you weren't trying to. If you weren't expecting full life and trying to make sure that on the next phase you weren't going to have a party of zombies, like
full life consequences,
you would probably figure that out yourself. But like I was like, okay, so zombie is the thing. But what my plan was the same thing that I did during the Seymour Flux fight, where I was just like, oh, I can just throw my Aeons at it and not worry about it and just just sacrifice them to like avoid a turn. So I was like, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna summon Bahamut and have him take death and stuff. And I fucked it up though because I didn't realize that he's immune to Mega Death. So I could have easily just did the overdrive, and I was like, I didn't optimize it in a way where I was just like, I used overdrive at the wrong time and stuff, and I was just like, oh damn. So on the third try, I just summoned him in and used overdrive and was like, okay, that's no problem. Like I did like 300 or 30,000 damage, and then just like finish it off with Yuna.
Another handicap you can equip is that you can steal from Yunalesca's stamina tablets, which doubles the HP that a character can have.
Oh yeah.
So if you did just like one like stock up HP before they get zombified or something like that.
That's a good idea.
I would say, like, aside from Kiraga, like, Yunalesca's actual attacks don't do that much damage. Like, the danger
they're
comes
like in the like 200 to 500 range. Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Right, yeah. So, yeah,
she does absorb and osmos as well.
Absorb does suck, yeah.
In the first phase, you can get her to damage herself with it if you have the zombie status on the party member with the highest HP, like Erin.
Okay, gotcha. She tries to drain from a zombie. Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. I forgot that. Yeah, that totally happened.
Yeah, and then the second and third phases, you can keep it. You can keep the zombie status active, and then hit them with reflect from Yuna.
Okay.
That'll heal her. It heals her on her other turns, but it keeps her from using Mega Death.
From actually using the Kiraga.
Yeah.
I did end up using reflect stats, but she also did the thing where she like dispels. But at the same time, I forgot that Kimari had reflect on, as I had Titus in there, and I was like, oh, okay, I just need to haste Aga up. And I hasted like 2 of my party members, and then also Yunalesca, and I was like, oh god, what have I done?
Oh no!
I had a real panic because as soon as like I got through the other side of Mega Death with Orin, who was like, oh cool, and I was like, okay, I have 2 guys. I'll just use a Mega Phoenix, and then Orin just fucking dies.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing because I had one person zombie.
I hope these Aeons are enough. Like, god damn it.
I had one person
zombie is such a bad status effect, man.
Yeah, it is.
I did that same thing though. I had one person as a zombie and 2 people died, which is what my plan was. I was like, I'll just keep 1 in there and I'll just throw a Mega Phoenix. But I killed the zombie and broke the other 2 back, and I was like, oh yeah,
you idiots.
Yeah,
I need like a big Phoenix, just like those 2 characters.
No, I will
big
say she still does. What's the fucking name of the attack? Nailbiter. Hellbiter. She still does Hellbiter. So like, Nailbiter. So you still get the zombie status effect as the battle goes on in phase 3. And so my strategy was just like to make sure that at least one person was always zombied. And I didn't even bother with healing them. Like when they were about to die, I would just let Hellbiter hit another person and then heal one more.
Yeah,
that
was how I did it too. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do, but I was like convinced that there was going to be a situation where like Hellbiter didn't happen and Mega Death did. So I was always I was like, I need to have like, you know, on the benches, I need to have the zombies. So that way, like if things are getting a little worrisome, I just swap them in. You just do a line change, you know.
But yeah,
this is a cool boss fight.
I don't know. So here's the thing. I don't know if I can actually say how I defeated this because it's kind of a spoiler.
I was gonna say because it's rated NC-17.
So Curtis, I went ahead a little bit and I explored some side areas and unlocked an extra thing.
You unlocked an Aeon with a special sword.
With a special sword.
I got
an overdrive on phase 3.
Was it Slim Jim?
with Yuna. So yeah, one hit.
That's sick.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess like we don't have to get into it because we're gonna talk about it more coming up.
Right.
But Yuna does have a 1-hit KO Aeon that she will get. Like, and
it's optional though, right?
It is optional.
Yes.
And it costs money. It costs lots of money.
Pay to win.
Yeah, the Aeons have started to unionize.
My Aeons have unionized.
But yeah, that's Yunalesca.
Yeah.
It's a fun fight. Like
that was super fun. That's a good fight.
Also very like thematically and like story-wise, a good fight as well.
Oh yeah,
We'd fought death, literally.
We fought death and we won.
I really wanted Oron to get the final hit, so I was kind of disappointed that it worked out the way it did for my particular save. But just still, like him,
he should have.
I did get Oron with the last hit, and I was like,
nice.
I was like, Yunalesca only has like 1,000 HP left. I'm going to use Banishing Blade because that seems like thematically appropriate.
That's sick.
Fuck yes.
Begone thought.
Oh, Alex, I just clipped so bad. I'm so sorry.
It's banished to the thought dimension.
It's good.
But yeah, so we beat Yunalesca. We're taken back into a cutscene before, I think before the stats pop up and everything, right? Before we get experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
we have a new guest on the pod, by the way.
Oh, we do have a new guest on the pod.
I don't know if he's gonna talk. This is Mastodon. He's metal as fuck.
Oh, Mastodon.
Take the high road.
Did he replace Twitter?
Do the Wolf is Loose. That's a great song. Anyway.
Reminds me of a cat I met on tour named Killdozer.
Yo, hell yeah. Friend of the show, Creepy Dave, has a cat
I was going to say, has
Chainsaw.
the best cat names.
Yeah, Chainsaw, and then I think he originally thought it would be funny to name his cat Dave Jr., but he had always wanted a cat named Chainsaw, and then when he got another cat, he kind of wanted to keep along with that naming convention, but he was also really tempted to name her Shrek, because that would have been really funny, but instead he named her Dirt Bike, so his two cats are Chainsaw and Dirt Bike.
Chainsaw and Dirt Bike, I love it.
Yeah.
I like to think that if he was going to name one of the cats Dave Jr., it wouldn't be after himself. It would be after the Wendy's sandwich.
Yeah.
I just thought it was Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, Dave Mustaine.
Yeah. I've had just about enough of Megadeth for one day.
So, Yunalesca has a really sick death animation, and my favorite part of it is after the Medusa head is exploding and all of that and melting into the ground. We see the anglerfish Yunalesca at the top, and she's just totally planking.
T-pose.
T-pose, just kind of it's just laying there as all of it is crumbling around her.
That is really funny. Yeah, I have that pulled up too.
Oh my god.
she's just thinking about where did I go wrong? Just looking off into his face. Just well,
I got an overkill. Hell yeah.
Ooh.
Nice. I was trying to, but I didn't. I got quad 9s, but it wasn't enough.
That was Baja Blast.
So Yunalesca says,
"If I die, so does the final Aeon. And with it, Spira's only hope."
Then we'll find Spira a new hope.
And she says, "Fool, there is no other way. And even if there was, even if you did destroy Sin, you, Yevon, the immortal, would only create Sin anew."
Who, me, Evan?
Who
Yevon?
Yeah. Whomst among us, Yevon.
You, Yevon. Me, Yevon.
And Titus is shocked as well. He says, "You, Yevon." Yunalesca says, "Ah, Zayon, forgive me. Spira has been robbed of the light of hope. All that remains is sorrow." And then we get our experience, and I was like, oh, that's so good. But
so metal.
You, Yevon? Of Yevon fame? You, Yevon of the band Yevon and the Yevonites? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we got the name.
So that's and I know we don't have a lot of context for it right now or anything.
He's like the Joey Ramone of religion.
He's like the Mumford of religion.
God.
He's like the Mr. Rob Zombie of White Zombie.
Mr. Zombie.
That's all.
So I know that we don't have the context for it yet. But I do we already know that everybody, when the very beginning of the game, right? The very first thing that Waka taught us is the Yevon symbol, and everybody says praise be to Yevon and all those things or whatever. And Yevon creates Sin. Wait a minute. Hold on just a second. Yevon is responsible for Sin. So that's we don't even have the information to know exactly what that means.
Folds in one Aeon. Let's bake for 40 minutes.
10 years. He has to bake it for 10 years, and then there's a new one.
He's getting better at it because apparently the column gets shorter and shorter every time, right?
Does it?
From what I've seen, I think I looked on. I mean, I'm not sure if it's said in the game or at all, but because it's supposed to be like 1,000 years, where there's only been like 5. There's actually like I think it's exponentially shorter column every time.
Oh.
I'm not sure if it's been revealed in game yet, but that's what the wiki said.
I feel like Braska's has been the shortest.
The hyper-normalization of the calm.
Because I immediately had like, wait, there's only been like 6 or 5 or 6 like grand summoners, but it's been 1,000 years. That doesn't really line up with like generations and shit like that.
Yes. The calm Overton window has shifted.
I just figured that they failed the calm for like hundreds of years at a time. Like there just was no calm.
I thought the first column was like, I think like 500 years, and the next one's like 200 in the last column. Because
really?
I think the Braska column was only like 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were all 10 years. I'm sorry, yeah.
Because that means like sandwiches were going rampant for 900 years.
That's what I thought.
900 and change.
Maybe it's like biblical in the sense that like, Moses was like 200 years old or whatever, and it's like, well, the years were different back then. Like,
you're saying that Moses was the final Aeon and became sin.
What I'm saying is Yevon creates dinosaurs, Yevon destroys dinosaurs, Yevon creates man, man destroys Yevon, man creates dinosaurs.
The Yevonites were so preoccupied with whether they could. Anyway, I got a level 3 key sphere from this. So that's important.
Yo, hell yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
I'm really salty about not milking him out of Biran and Yankee.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I love Yuna's first line out of this battle. It's so good. Like, as soon as we fight, we beat Yunalesca, we get the stats, she does her little death throws and everything, and then Yuna just says, I cannot believe what we just did.
Do you guys see that shit?
Could she be any more dead?
And Titus says, let's do something more unbelievable. And Riku's like, what? And he says, destroy sin.
Let's kill God.
Won't come back. You'll let us kill God, and without the final Aeon.
I don't know how just yet, but I'll find out.
And then importantly, I should have said this to you guys before we did this podcast. Did you go to the back of the room and get the sun crest?
Yes.
Okay. Because if anybody's answer was no, I was going to be like, what I'm going to need you to do is reload the save.
Load the save.
Use your favorite tip on how to beat Yunalesca again and get the sun crest.
Dear listener, if you are playing along with the pod, in the back of Yunalesca's room, there is a treasure chest containing the sun crest. Do not leave without it.
So the way that you actually get the treasure chest is kind of like weird.
It's interesting
because there's like 3 staircases here, and we're still just on this platform that's like the final destination stage floating.
It just ends randomly.
Yeah, so
it's like a Final Fantasy Tactics stage.
Big tactics energy.
Yeah, so if you go down like towards like walking towards the camera, it just brings you into the next scene. But there's like a staircase all the way in the far end of like this room or whatever you want to call it, and there's one also going up, and either of those other staircases that don't go directly towards the camera will like do this weird like shift thing where like you end up at the other like stairwell, and like there's like a flash, and it's like the weird like, ooh, like time and space is weird here, and then there'll be a treasure
door
chest
hallway basically.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, but like if you go in either of those staircases, you'll see the treasure chest in the room now, and you definitely want to grab that.
You definitely want to grab that now, because if you don't, you won't be getting it. So
that's important.
Anyway, but we go back into the antechamber, the atrium, the foyer, the vestibule, the
dugout,
big room with the dugout. The bathroom.
The lobby.
The cathedral. What are more names for rooms? The boudoir. I don't know.
The boudoir, yes.
Well, to answer your question, I don't know.
The octagon.
What kinds of reverb are there? There's hall reverb. There's
chamber
room
reverb, plate
chamber
reverb.
Yeah, plate.
Spring.
Yeah,
We're in the spring.
Yeah, spring.
Titus.
Anyway,
every time they said spring reverb, I always thought it was because it was supposed to sound like a water spring, but it was actually like an actual spring.
No, you can only use it for 3 months out of the year. That's why it's spring reverb.
not keeping that in the pod. That's too niche.
Well, no, it's great. Anyway, okay. But yeah, so we walk out, and like as we walk into the next room, like actually as the screen comes up into the next room, we see the rest of the party almost ready to leave the room. They've kind of like left Titus behind, as well as Orin. And Orin says,
"There's something you should know."
I know. It's about you, right?
And Orin finally drops the bomb on us here, and he says, "I am also an unsent. You're not surprised?" And Titus says, "I think I kind of knew. It was Yunalesca, wasn't it?" And he explains his story of like what happened to him. He says, "When Braska and Jek died defeating Sin, I just couldn't accept it. I came back here and tried to avenge them, but she struck me down. Somehow, I made my way, crawling down Mount Gagazet, but my strength left me just outside of Bavel, and that's where Kimari found me. I told him about Yuna just before I died. I've been wandering ever since, never going to the far plane." And I was like, "Oh, there it is. That's the full circle. Like,
Yep,
we
finally
got all
learned.
explanation now." Oh God, I just dropped my Switch. But
It's like, who could have seen this coming?
Yeah, isn't anybody in this goddamn cemetery dead?
Do unsent guys just like age normally?
Yeah,
dude.
and get scars.
I'm assuming maybe he got a scar when he was like just dragging his ass through some fiends down the mountain or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point. He probably did.
His rat tail just disappeared somewhere, you know, around
Biran beat him up and stole his rat tail.
Yeah.
cut it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tailless.
Yeah, tailless. Yeah. Yeah, and like Titus like is about to be like sympathetic, and he's like, "Oh, Orin," and Orin says, "Don't make that face. Being dead has its advantages."
Being dead actually owns.
Being dead is actually.
Yunalesca was right. Death rules. We should all be doing it.
He says, "I was able to ride Sin and go to your Xanarkand," and Titus says, "And you've been watching over me ever since then."
All aboard!
All aboard! Doom!
I rode your dad to get here.
Yeah.
Is it in The Simpsons where there's like zombies or something, and they say, or it might be in Futurama where they're like, "Come, Bender, you'll like being dead." Hey, that's what they said about being alive.
That's awesome.
It's either The Simpsons or
I would have
Futurama.
loved for Titus to be like, "Wait, hold the fuck up. All these times where we got a game over because your ass died and you could have just like gotten back up this whole time.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
No one sent you. That fiend did not fucking send you.
It's like, hold up, Orin.
You really let us down in that third phase, buddy.
How the fuck did you get zombie cast on you then? How the fuck do Phoenix Downs work on you?
If you are dead, why are you always drinking all that piss? You don't need sustenance.
He just likes the taste. It's like Slimer drinking High C.
That just raises further questions.
Yeah, I love this next line though. After he says being dead has its advantages, he says, "I was able to ride Sin and go to your Xanarkand." He's like, it has its advantages. Riding on Sin is fun as shit. Yeah. You thought riding on the shoe puff was great?
Boogie board nonsense.
Yeah, I'm imagining a high pillow just like pulling up with Sin. Next stop, Xanarkand.
Yeah.
The punished high pillow.
Yeah. Yeah, and then and Titus extrapolates from that and says, "You've been watching over me since then, haven't you? Why? What's the big idea? Why me?" And Orin says, "It's one of those things that's difficult to explain, but very well, I will show you my memories." And he like goes to the center of the room, kneels down, and like touches his forehead and like releases fireflies. So like I guess like the thing that like Xanarkand Dome has been doing because of like all the fireflies here, Orin can just do on command, which is kind of sick. But yeah, it shows a scene again where we see the memories of Jekt and Braska and Orin, and Jekt is asking one last favor of Orin, right? Like he's like, "Hey, I need you to do this one thing for me." And it's funny because the scene is shown in first person. Like instead of seeing all three of them, we're viewing it through Orin's eyes, right?
Being John Malkovich.
And that's very important for something that I'm going to say later, just so the listener understands. But Jekt tells him,
"Take care of my son. My son in Xanarkand. He's such a crybaby. He needs someone there to hold his hand, see? Take care of him, will you?"
And Orin's like, but how am I supposed to go to Xanarkand? And Jack's just like, hey, you said it yourself. There must be a way to get there, right? You'll find it. And Orin's just like, all right, I'll do it. I give you my word. I'll take care of your son and guard him with my life. And then in first person, we get to see what big, strong Jack looks like if he gave us a hug.
Gave us a hug.
Yeah.
And
Titus is like, I really needed that.
Titus is probably bawling his eyes out.
Yeah, Titus is like, how come I never got to see that?
I do think it's also very sweet that like the way that Jack talked about Titus being a crybaby wasn't in like a judgmental way necessarily. He was just like putting it bluntly, but he was like, yeah, he's like, he's a crybaby and he needs someone to hold his hand. And he's like, I should be the one there to hold his hand, but I'm not going to be able to. So I need you to do that, Orin.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet.
I do like the last line Jekt has, which is kind of a double entendre, which is like, thanks, Orin, you were such a stiff, but that's what I liked about you.
Yeah.
Which is very funny wording considering we just found out that Orin is dead.
Yeah.
Right. But then we are permitted to leave Xanarkand, and we head back outside, and now it's daytime, right? It's daytime outside of the...
Beautiful day.
Beautiful daytime outside the Xanarkand Blitzball...
Whatever the
Dome.
fuck, yeah.
The Jekt Memorial Dome.
The Jekt Memorial Dome.
God.
Parking is already cleared out, so there's not a big traffic spike. Septa's taking all the Flyers fans back to their homes.
Everyone left after the 7th inning because, the Xanarkand Apes were losing.
The Weeknd played the halftime show, which Carl just informed me the other day is not a band, but in fact a person. And
you had to find out this way.
Yeah.
Wow, I was today years old.
Yeah. And there is
now I've learned.
To be fair, I think I had to Google that when you were in your in your stream talking about The Weeknd as a band, and I was like, that's just a guy, right? And like I wasn't fully like sure about it, so I had to ask my girlfriend. She was like, yes.
I remember like you said something like, this MF said The Weeknd is a band, and my like response was like, oh, they're not a band. I'm like still assuming it was plural.
I mean, a band can be a guy.
Yeah, it's true.
A family can just be a bunch of dads.
Yeah.
But there is a...
Speaking of who's he, we see someone.
Yeah, there's one more Blitzball fan who has not left the stadium yet, though, and we see
waiting
them
for Titus's autograph.
It's Gritty. Here he is. No, there's Sin is here.
Yeah, very big.
Very big.
Scary.
Just hanging out.
Just dwarfing the entire like dome.
Looking kind of cute.
Yeah, looking kind of cute.
Honestly, looking kind of cute.
Kind of looking like it's smiling.
Looking like a snack.
Yeah, because this is like the first time we get like a
looking
really...
like thick Godzilla.
Like basically a face straight down like the barrel like view.
Yeah,
of,
like
what
not
Sin looks like.
Yeah, it's not obstructed this time, right? Like we
Sitting
always
like a guy.
have like a...
And it's like one of the first like really clear shots of like
exactly
the kaiju as a whole, basically.
Yeah.
And like we see it's kind of like amphibious nature. It almost like has like a turtle kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Like
and I will say I don't like its eyes. Its eyes skeeve me out. It's got a bunch of
Which
eyes.
ones?
I forgot that that phobia of like lots of holes. And
Yeah,
things
we
like
don't
the
want to
backs
say
of,
the
like,
name of it because that might bring people to Googling it, which is not advisable because you can absolutely understand why
I
people
know
would
it's
be
triggered
like...
in that one Adventure Time one where they start sticking their thumbs in the back of that frog, like "What a good boy am I," and they're like, "Does the frog backs where the eggs come out of?" Like,
yeah.
like dried out sunflowers, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's yeah.
But he's looking kind of sad.
He's an ocular boy, is what we're trying to say. Sorry, go ahead.
He's just a land whale.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's also a sea whale, I guess, but
I guess he can just walk around like a Godzilla too.
Oh, I figured he was in the sea right now.
I think he's in the water.
But he's like propped up. His whole like
He's got his like
head of
claws on the land and he's like holding himself up.
Yeah, he's like
he's just
like
kind
a
of hanging out on the
mudfish,
edge
like,
of the pool, you know?
Yeah.
And we're like, return to the sea. Do not evolve into humanity. Eventually, you will have to go to work and pay rent.
Go back, turn back.
Turn back.
It's not
Just keep
too
giving
late.
Orin rides. It'll be fun.
But yeah, this is like super weird because we're just like, this is the first time we've seen Sin kind of, I mean, besides just kind of sleeping at the bottom of like Lake Macalania.
Mm-hmm.
where like Sin is just like not attacking or anything.
Yeah.
It's just like looking at Titus, and then we hear Titus's voiceover.
Dad? I know. The final summoning's gone. But I'll think of something. Just give me a little more time.
So like almost like Sin was just like, I heard they were meeting Yunalesca.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna wait here for the final Aeon to show up.
Because we've gotten like hints that it seems like Jecht has some kind of consciousness still inside Sin. Like he may not be entirely in control, but like
that's like what I'm curious. Like that, how much agency does Sin have of self? Because if it's just like not running amok right here, is it maybe because there's like no living beings out here? It's just Titus and like the party, and that's it.
Yeah, because it just turns and leaves.
There's no sinning out here. There's no mocking out here.
Yeah, yeah. But like after Titus is like, he doesn't even say it out loud. He just thinks that he's like, there's no final Aeon anymore. But I'll think it's something, and Sin just kind of like leaves very peacefully.
Turns around and just kind of starts like going in the other direction,
moping.
And then we get a really cool shot, and it changes.
It's a sad Hulk music.
It changes to the FMV, and then we get a really cool shot of Sin like turning away and like walking off into the distance, and then we see like from the other direction we see the airship come flying in, and it passes Sin, and they like intersect each other, and like just like that must have been fucking horrifying in the airship.
Yeah, if you're on the ship,
brother's like flying a little close to the sun there.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess, is that where we should end the episode today?
Yeah, because we can save and basically just board the... Or do we just find ourselves on the airship?
We just find ourselves on the airship,
Yeah.
That's
which we'll talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about on there. Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. So what we'll do next is we're going to do a lot of the interstitial dialogue and plot. So, like, we won't be doing anything next episode. What we're going to do is we're going to get back on the ship. There's going to be a bunch of scenes that kind of wrap up this thread. Because, like, we're done with the pilgrimage. We're not done with FF10, but the pilgrimage is over. So there's going to be a lot of, like, decompressing. Canceled. The pilgrimage has been canceled. Cancel culture strikes again. Oh, my goodness. And then we'll also go back to Bavel, and we'll get those scenes as well. Because I think a certain Meister's got a little explaining to do.
Yeah, who's this Yu Yevon guy?
Who's this Yu Yevon? Who's this Yu Yevon fella?
Use Yevon.
Who's Yevon? Y'all Yevon.
Now we can't make a 20-minute ordeal about this, but I'm going to bring this up. I'm so sorry, Alex. Here it goes. But we have two guests, so I have to get their input. So, it was brought to my attention through our Twitter that somebody said, oh, there's extra information outside of FF10 itself, right? Like sometimes Final Fantasy, as a company or a Square, will put out like books and little side pieces of information.
Big lore dumps. In physical form.
Yeah. And they did so with FF10, and they have decided that Zanarkand, Dream Zanarkand, is just a physical place off the coast somewhere, and that you can just go there, and the reason why you have to ride Sin to get there is because Sin knows where it is. I hate this.
It's like the island in Lost.
What?
I hate that so much. This is why the Ultimania guide should be illegal. Like, we need to shut down all the ancillary lore until we know what's going on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I've played through 10 numerous times. I played through 10-2 numerous times, and then when I bought the the HD version for Steam, it comes with there's like, pick which thing you're going to start when you load the game. It's like, do you want to play 10 or 10-2? Or there's something called like 10 Eternal Calm. Yeah. And then like an additional...
That's like an epilogue kind of tag on, right?
So apparently there's like a like audio book type continuation of the story. And I'm just
audio play, yeah.
Why? What is...
When you have a good thing, you gotta milk it for all it's fucking worth.
So could Brother just find this Anarchan?
That's what I'm wondering, Brother. And like,
if you go up high enough, can you see it? Like, or is it kind of like, and what's the name of the city and the castle in the sky? I forget, but it's
Lapida.
Lapido. It's like that thing where no one can really see it because there's like a fucking storm around it or something.
Curtis,
Yes.
it's basically just like Lemuria in Golden Sun: The Lost Age.
Now you're making sense.
Or it's like
It's outside of everyone's draw distance.
it's
The camera clipping is set to the wrong distance.
or it's like the hidden island in Golden Sun 1 where you have to have like an old man like rowing instead of like the strong guy, so you accidentally veer off course and then you fight the optional super hard boss.
I remember that.
Hell yeah.
So good.
God, I love
Golden Sun is so good. Next week we're just gonna
a place on Earth. I guess.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, I didn't want to like
that sucks.
go too heavy on it because we could go forever. But like, and I guess, you know what I mean? I throw my hands up.
This is some expanded universe Star Wars bullshit. Like, no.
Yeah, like
that's not canon.
It's not canon.
I guess
it's
fine.
legend.
I guess it's possible
legends.
and everything. Yeah.
Disney bought Square and now it's all Legends.
Like, I guess it doesn't like.
Kingdom Hearts is the only canon. We all know it to be true.
The thing
Orin
is,
is in those, isn't he?
maybe.
Is he in one of them?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't want to say that it's not like feasibly possible that Xanarkand or Dream Xanarkand is on Earth somewhere. Like, I guess it doesn't necessarily contradict the physical lore, because every time I like say this to somebody, they're like, "Well, it could be," and I'm like, "Yeah, it could be." But thematically, like it really reduces a lot of the emotional weight of Xanarkand.
Yo,
if that
could
makes
you
sense.
imagine? Could
The
you
Fayth
imagine
just went
if
offshore with their offshore accounts and like and basically went to the like it's like the Bermuda Triangle kind of thing.
Could you imagine if Final Fantasy like took something that had a lot of emotional weight and then like changed it in some sort of way in like, you know, that would be wild.
Yeah. It's whatever.
Certainly not in a straight to DVD film. No.
It's certainly not in some sort of remake.
If Final Fantasy VII is so good, why isn't there a Final Fantasy VII 2?
Got him.
Got him.
It's a good point.
So ostensibly, 13 would be the greatest Final Fantasy, right? Because there's just so many sequels.
By that logic, yeah.
I mean, it is. Obviously.
I'm excited to talk about the fashion lines.
I'm so excited to talk about 13.
The
I love
Louis
it.
Vuitton. Yeah, that's
Lightning,
good shit.
yeah.
Final Fantasy, what the fuck? I love it. What a good series.
What the fuck?
Okay, here. I know that, like, obviously we're fans of Final Fantasy. We're doing a podcast about it, but I will say that, like, one of the things that I do love about this franchise is how just fucking book wild they get with shit sometimes. They're just like, no, this makes sense. It makes sense. Like, to have a Louis Vuitton
you have to
thing,
believe
right?
us. Yeah.
Or who
makes
was
sense.
Who is the fashion designer that, like,
Please
designed,
forgive
like,
us.
OG punk stuff?
I don't know about the OG punk stuff, but Vera Wang did like the wedding dress for Final Fantasy 15.
Wait, was it Vera Wang?
Vivian Westwood.
Vivian Westwood.
Vivian Westwood, you're right.
Vivian Westwood, yeah.
Yep.
She designed a lot of like the old punk look, like Sex Pistols looking shit like that. Like a lot of that was
Yeah,
her.
she had the store in London.
Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah.
wild.
And things like Cup Noodle is in 15.
Yeah, I was gonna.
And
I was
The
gonna
Cup
bring up,
Noodle
yeah.
Quest is so good.
and like obviously there are like
And Coleman like camping gear.
yeah, Coleman camping gear. And obviously like product placement is not what makes Final Fantasy so wild, but the weird product placement is just a facet of what makes the series so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a dumb fucking franchise. I love it so much.
I love it so much.
Speaking of which,
It's so good.
I have this I just got in the mail. I just got the Final Fantasy V like primer guide thing. Not a guide.
Ooh,
but
Shit.
basically before they would sell the SNES games or some of the SNES games, in order to hype them up, they basically made like a nice zine for them, and they would sell them for like 500 yen, so like $5, and you could buy them before the game came out, like months before the game came out. You could buy it, read it, and be like, oh, this game is going to have so much stuff in it, it's going to be so cool, I think I'll actually purchase the cartridge. And like, games in Japan are a little bit more expensive, I mean, sometimes considerably more expensive than they are here, so it kind of makes sense that like, if you have a big thing like this and you want to hype it up and get people to buy it, you might put out something like this. But it's very cool because it has like all the Amano art for all the summons and everything, and they all look really good.
Hell yeah.
That's so cool.
But I am a big fan of 5, obviously, because I like speedrun it and everything. So like, I was like, oh, I need to get this. I need to check it out. Oh, dude, look at the Hiryu. He's so cute.
Aww.
Anyway,
Little anime wyvern.
Anyway, we are not at 5 yet.
I know, but like, it's good banter, Alex.
Thank you both for coming back.
Oh God, yeah. Thank you for having us.
Seriously.
I don't know if you have any other thoughts. I know we were kind of just plowing through this because it's a very dense episode.
No thoughts, head empty.
No thoughts, Spanish. All thoughts Spanish.
I love the escalation of it. Like, because we go from, okay, we've killed like a cardinal of certain ethnic groups, and then it turns out the Pope is actually already dead. And then like we get here, and it's what's like the analog is like is she sort of like the Virgin Mary?
Yeah,
like
we murdered. Like
it's so fucking buck wild.
Yeah, she's some sort of like heavenly body or like angel type thing, and it's just like, oh, we killed that.
Death. Yeah, Angel of Death. Now it's a Slayer fucking podcast. Good.
But yeah, thank you all for having us.
Which Slayer is in overdrive mode. It all comes together.
Yeah, you just learned Slayer, right?
That's right.
In the same way Corey learned Iron Maiden.
Yeah. Judas Priest.
No, it's Judas Priest.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and putting up with us.
Yeah, it's been an absolute blast. Thank you both so much.
Y'all are wonderful.
I know you both wanted Yunalesca, but like we have had 2 guests on at the same time. Like, yeah, this will be fine. It'll be fun.
And shaking my fist, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, I'm like half a guest, so it's all good.
It's all right. Each of us are only like 1/4 of a podcast host, so like...
That's what makes it work so good.
Together, we almost make a decent podcast. So it works
Almost. The podcast has been a pilgrimage of its own. We don't know who's going to survive it.
Fish is my Kamari.
I don't want to be the final Aeon.
My Kamari.
Yeah, my Kamari. If we could think of one past guest of the show to sacrifice and turn into a Fayth.
Corey.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
But then the future rebuilt world of Spira will have no urban planning.
His Aeon would be a train.
It's true.
It's
true.
Yes, Sin is just a big evil train at that point. Like.
I feel like Sin would be a big, giant, evil car.
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah.
Corey would become a car, and we would have to kill him. As he would want us to.
We'll find a way.
The Sin's toxins is just emissions. Like,
is there anything either of you want to plug while you're here?
Erin, have you been working on anything?
Yeah, you can check out my Final Fantasy VII podcast, Those Who Fight. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, etc., etc.
Yes, please go follow them.
That's it.
Yeah, everyone go and rate that 5 stars because that one definitely deserves it way more than we do.
Actually, yeah,
it's such a good podcast.
It.
It's so good.
Oh.
Yeah, I make music as Curious Quail, Game Boys and guitar and shit. Follow me on Twitter. We got some new music coming out soon, but I don't have like concrete dates for it. So just follow me on Twitter for leftist memes and cats. That's
Hell
what you
yeah.
get in the meantime.
Hell yeah.
Bless.
Nice.
Anybody doing any speed running coming up or anything?
Yeah, Carl, you got anything coming up?
Not really. Other than like the normal, my Twitch channel speedrun bullshit.
Trying to beat your accidental PB after dying and not realizing.
Yeah, I was on a really good pace for me, and I thought I died to one of the bosses. That I always say there's the cutscene of shame after it because it's like it's a 2-phase boss. You kill one of them, and then the other the other gains its powers, and you have to fight it. Whatever. And I got hit. And I saw my health completely disappear. And anytime I've been hit that way in the past, it meant I died. So I was just sitting there and I just like started like nodding and I like had to work on something in my like stream anyway. So I let the cutscene of shame play out. And then like I was sitting there and making sure everything was good. 30 seconds goes by and I look up and my character is still alive. And I was like, holy fuck, I'm still alive. And then I managed to like actually beat that run and PB by like a slight amount, and I was just like, God damn it! Imagine if I didn't let the 30-second cutscene play. That's totally skippable. So yeah, more bullshit like that on my channel. Twitch.tv/Carl.
Well, that's the 15 puzzle of PB.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel so bad for Carl because the puzzle was broken, but
it was my fault though. I put the pieces in incorrectly, so it was all my fault anyway. Yeah, other than that, I might be trying to get a world record back in Demon Tower because a week after I got it again, it got beaten again because of a new strat that was discovered by the current world record holder. So I'll probably go back to that at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've started running 5 again. God help me.
Hell yeah.
Hell
If
yeah.
your controller behaves.
If my fuck
God,
the down button just stopped working on one of my controllers. I mean, it's like third party. It may as well be like a fourth party controller at this point. But
damn you, mad cats.
yeah, right. But yeah, I'm gonna try to do that. I'm hoping to get back in the relay race this year, and nobody ever runs 5, so that's almost guaranteed. So we'll see.
Fuck yeah.
But you can follow me over on twitch.tv/TwirlingCurtis if you want.
Yes, do that. Subscribe and get some good gritty and Moogle emotes.
That's right, yeah.
Let's fucking go, Moogle, and the gritty poggers.
All right, Alex, what should we have you do this week? I need to think about these before I come on, before we start recording.
I mean, I feel like it's got to be the copy pasta, right?
Oh, that could be too. Yeah, actually, I was getting ready.
Now is the time to end the podcast.
All right, Alex, use Hellbiter on us, and then like unknowingly we'll cure that, and then turns later you can use Megadeth and game over our whole party.
Thank you to Night of the Round for the theme music. Go follow them on Twitch. Again, they are still working their way through Final Fantasy 7 and 8. Thank you to Nobuo Uematsu, Masashi Hamauzu, and Junya Nakano for the game music. There's a lot of good ones this episode.
Oh, yeah.
I think we heard Challenge again, the one we were fighting Seymour Flux 2 with Yunalesca, which has some good bop and 90s kind of clangy beats on it. Rate, review, subscribe anywhere you find us. Call us at 530 Materia or find us at every FNFF on all the things. And die and be free of podcast.
God help us.
Wisies.